Recording in progress.
Okay, we're up to Daf Yomi Amid Beis. We're up to the bottom line. So just to review what we're talking about, we're discussing the Shita of Rav. The Rav says, Rav. Mekadesh b'milva, Rav. The Rav said, HaMekadesh b'milva ein mekudeshes, that forgiving alone is not a form of Kiddushin because you're not giving her anything. So then the Gemara says, wait a minute, there's a machlokes tanoim in the following two cases. The case are, you have someone who has a letter, like a check. Someone owes me money, right? Someone borrowed money from me. So instead of me collecting, I give the woman the right to collect. There's two cases the Gemara gives. The case is Heskachli b'shtar choiv and Shahaya milva bi'adacher. They both seem to be identical, and that is that I'm transferring the right to collect the debt to her. And it's a machlokes tanoim. So the Gemara says, well, two cases. So one of the cases, a guy owes me money, I give her the right to collect. Fine. The other case, what's the other case? It must be the other case is she owes me money, and I give her the right to collect her own debt. Meaning, in other words, I'm Michael. So you see, it's a machlokes tanoim. So the Gemara said, no, really, mekadesh milva ein mekudeshes. It's not a good Kiddushin. What's the machlokes? What are the two cases? They're both cases of me transferring debt, other people's debt to her. One is I'm transferring a debt that has a shtar, a milva b'shtar, and one is I'm transferring a milva al peh. One is I'm transferring an oral debt. And each one is machlokes. Now let's analyze milva b'shtar. I'm transferring a debt. So what's the machlokes about? So we had two options. So now the Gemara says, everyone agrees that to transfer a debt, you can't just hand over the shtar to the woman. You actually have to write in the shtar, that you have to write a shtar that I'm transferring over the debt to you. And in that shtar, everyone agrees, like for Papa, that you have to say, Kanila chu v'chol shibude. You did that. So what's the machlokes? But the machlokes is Shmuel. Shmuel says, Hamaycha shachar l'chaveroi v'chazir machloi machol. Afili yosh machol. Mar isli de Shmuel, mar isli de Shmuel. The case is, they argue about Shmuel Shita. What Shmuel Shita? John owes me money, and I transfer it to another person. That other person can collect the debt. The question is, after I transfer it, can I then be moichel v'chayv? Can I tell John, you don't owe me anything? It would mess up the guy who just bought it from me, and maybe I'd be taken to court by him, maybe not. That's not for now. The question is, can I? After transferring the debt to a third party, can I be moichel v'chayv? Shmuel says yes. So the machlokes is if you agree with Shmuel or not. Meaning, you transferred her the debt. So John owes me $100. I give it to this woman. I say, Mekadeshli, me with the right to collect this $100. So what's the machlokes about? If you hold like Shmuel that I can still be moichel v'chayv, then she's not confident. She doesn't give herself over for Kiddushin because she knows that this paper can become worthless if I choose to make it worthless. Therefore, she's not making a nafsha. If you don't agree with Shmuel, that means that I can't be moichel v'chayv, then it's a legitimate document. That's what the machlokes is about. Or perhaps the kuli alma isli de Shmuel. Everyone agrees that I could be moichel v'chayv. So what's the machlokes? Hacha be'isha k'miflgi. Mar savar isha samchadaita me'meram le'shavik le'lididei u'machal le'lachrine. Mar savar isha nam le'samchadaita. Everyone agrees that Shmuel, that I could be moichel v'chayv after I transfer it to the woman. So what's the machlokes? The machlokes is, does she actually believe I will? Meaning, if I'm moichel v'chayv, I'm messing her up. Would I want to mess up a woman that I'm trying to marry? So one opinion says no. She assumes I would never do such a thing. Therefore, she's confident. The other opinion says no, because it's a possibility. She's not confident based on this form of payment. That's all the machlokes with transferring a chayv that's written. Now they also argue milva al peh. They argue about me transferring a debt to her, an oral debt. So what's the machlokes about? Milva al peh my pilgi. What's the machlokes? The Rav Huna Merav. The machlokes is I transferred it in a way that's a machlokes. That's the machlokes. The machlokes is I did it in a way that's questionable. How so? I did a Rav Huna Merav. Rav Huna Merav. Manali biyadecha t'nei l'plani. Let's say I asked someone to watch money for me. So Reuven gives Shimon a pikadon. Then he tells Shimon, all in the presence of everyone, in Levi's presence, give it to Levi. The halacha is, Rav Huna Merav says, Ma'amid Shlishtin Kana. By merely saying it in everyone's presence, you don't need a form of acquisition, it's kaina. Now that's true with a pikadon. The question is that true with a debt as well? Meaning, if Reuven owes Shimon money, can Shimon tell Reuven in the presence of this woman, pay her? Is that effective? If it's effective, then it's a good form of Kiddushin. If it's not effective, it's not a good form of Kiddushin. That's the machlokes. One opinion feels that this form of maimed shlishin, of being able to transfer the item without a kinyan, as long as you say it in the presence of everyone, that's only true with a pikadon. Avol milveh, but when it comes to it, that loy doesn't work. And one opinion says no, there's no difference between a pikadon and a milveh. It's a proper form of transferring the debt. Okay. Back to Rab's opinion. That's what we're going to be dealing with a lot today. Rab Shita that mekadesh b'milveh eina mikudeshes. Neima kitanoi. It's going to take us to the Mishnah. Neima kitanoi. I think it's a machlekes tanoim. The Tanoim argue the following case, a cryptic case, a skachli b'shtar. You give a woman a document, you say mekadesh with the document. What the type of document is, we don't know. Rameir eina mikudeshes. Rameir said no good. Rav Elazar mikudeshes. Rav Elazar says it's fine. The Chum say, here's their shita. The Rabbanan say, listen, I'm not sure, and therefore, how valuable is the actual paper itself? Forget about what's the contents of the paper. If the paper itself is worth a pruta, good. If not, not. So it's a machlokes if you're mekadesh with a shtar. Now, what does it say on the shtar? So, hay shtar hechidami. Now you'll say, maybe this shtar is a debt owed to me, meaning, I, the guy, take a debt owed to me and I hand it to her. And the machlokes is whether that's a good thing. The problem is, who says over here that it's not good? Rav Meir. We had yesterday's daf, transferring a debt, Rav Meir says, is a good form of Kiddushin. So that would be a contradiction, so it can't be that. That can't be the case. It's a contradiction, Rav Meir. Must be the case is as follows. It's the shtar that I'm giving to her is the money she owes me, meaning that shtar is a shtar that says she owes me money, I'm handing it back to her, meaning I'm being moichel b'chayv, and it's a machlokes tanoim whether it's effective. So you see that Rab Shita of being moichel b'chayv is actually a machlokes tanoim. So the Gemara says no, this shtar is actually a shtar Kiddushin. It's actually a shtar Kiddushin. Meaning it's not a money shtar. It's harei amikudeshes li b'shtar zu. So what's the machlokes? The cases where you mekadesh a shtar that has no witnesses, meaning witnesses saw me hand it to her, but there's no edom on it. And the machlokes is the machlokes that we had throughout Gittin, which is which are the ikar edom? Is it edom mesira karti? Is it the edom that see it being transferred, or edom chasima karti, or the edom that sign on it? Rav Meir lishitaso letamei damer edom chasima karti. Rav Meir who holds that the ikar edom are the edom that sign on it. Therefore, because this document doesn't have edom, it's not a kosher document. Therefore, you can't form a Kiddushin. Rav Elazar, who says that it's good, Savar Edim Mesira Karti. Rav Elazar Lishitase that holds that the Ikar Edim are the ones that see it being transferred. Over here, the Edim saw being transferred. And the Rabbanon, who are not sure, and they say, therefore, just go with the value of the paper, Rabbanon Misaf Galeik Rameir Rav Elazar Hilkosham Nesanir, Bishav Prutim Lavin Prutim. Rabbanon are not sure who to pass in like. So that's the machlokes. It has nothing to do with being Meichel Achoiv. It's a Shtar Kiddushin. And the case is where there's no Eidim that signed it. Or, Ibai Sem, another answer, really it's a Shtar Kiddushin. And what's the machlokes? The case is where it was written Shalai L'Shma, meaning this Shtar Kiddushin was written for a different woman. And then you handed it to the other woman. The question is a Shtar Kiddushin, does it need to be written for the woman that you're being Mekadesh? By a get, it has to be written for the woman you're divorcing. The question is by Shtar Kiddushin. That's the machlokes. But the Rish Lakish Kamifagin, the machlokes is whether you follow Rish Lakish. Dabai Rish Lakish asked, Shtar Eris and Shekasar Shalai L'Shma Mahu. Could a Shtar Kiddushin be written for a different woman? What's the Shaila? Havayla Etzia Makshinon. Do we compare Kiddushin to Gittin? And just like Gittin, if it's written for the wrong woman, it's puzzle. So to a shtar that's written for the shtar Kiddushin is written for the wrong woman is puzzle. Or perhaps no. Perhaps we compare shtar Kiddushin to itself. Meaning, just like Kesef is not minted for this woman, so the shtar Kiddushin can be written for a different one. That's Rish Lakish's kasha. Rish Lakish is l'shitasa, and he says no. Rish Lakish says no. It has to be like Gittin, just like Gittin it's possible, so the Kiddushin is possible. So if you hold like Rish Lakish, so the case of the Machlokes or Meir and Rav Eliezer is a case where it's a shtar Kiddushin, but it's written Shalei Lishma. Rav Meir holds like Rish Lakish. He has the same shita that Rish Lakish eventually would have, and therefore it's Shalei Lishma is possible. And Rav Eliezer feels Shalei Lishma is kosher. That's the Machlokes. Ma'aris of the Rish Lakish, ma'alas of the Rish Lakish. That's the Machlokes. Iba Yisema, another answer. To Kuli Alma Islu the Rish Lakish. Everybody agrees with the Rish Lakish. Or perhaps over here it's Lishma v'Shalom Midaita. It's written for her, not for her in mind, but it wasn't written with her knowledge. The question is, does Shtar Kiddushin have to be written with her knowledge? Plug to the Rabbi Ravina Rav Papa Rav Sharavi Kamifligin. It's a machlokes in the following argument, following opinions. The Itmar, Kasu Shalom B'Shalom Medaita. If you write a Shtar Kiddushin without her knowledge, Rabbi Ravina Mukadeshes, they feel that it's good. Or Papa Rav Sharavi Omer Ein Mukadeshes, they feel that it's not good. Well, it has to do with get has to be written with the das of the makna, which the one who's in charge. The one who's going to be accomplishing the act, which is the husband over here. The one who's accomplishing the act is the wife. The question is, does she need das? That's machlokes. Okay, that's what the machlokes is about. Another option for machlokes tanaim about whether they hold mekadesh b'milva mikudeshes ein mikudeshes neima kahani tanaim. Let's say the following tanaim argue about being meichel v'choy, whether it's a good form of kedushin. The Tanya, the Brisa says, a woman gives gold to a craftsman and says, asli shirayim nizam b'tabois. Turn it into anklets, earrings, or rings. V'kadosh inoch, and I'll be mekadosh with you. Now, she's giving him gold, and he's turning it into items. And she says, I'll be mekadosh. Now, what is he giving her? That we'll figure out. Kivan sha'asim mekudash is the Rameir. Rameir says, the second it's done, she's mekudash. Okay? Chum oimrim, ein mekudash kiyam amliyad. Chum say, no, he has to give her money. Now, the question is, does he have to give her additional money, or perhaps he means the gold, right? What do the Chum mean when they say that you're only mekudesh when she gets the money? What money? Could be additional money for kedushin, or perhaps it means that the gold, the earrings. Meaning when she gets the earrings, the product, then she's married. Now the problem with that is that would mean that the Rabbanan feel that she's married only when she gets the product, but Rav Meir disagrees and he says that she's married even before she gets the product. Then what is he giving her? You know, what's the machlokes about? The Gemara says, "Hi, mammon hechidami." When the Chum say that you need money, what type of money? If it's the gold, meaning the product. So the Rambam is saying she's only married when she gets the product, but Rav Meir feels that she gets married before she gets the product. How could she get married before she gets the product? What is she getting? It must be the cases like this, where the Rabbanan say that she has to get the money. It means additional money. Meaning the Rabbanan feel that giving her the gold is not enough. You have to give additional money. Rav Meir feels giving back the product itself is enough. So the machlokes is about whether you're giving her the product is enough. Now let me ask you a question. According to the Rav Meir, according to the Rabbanan, you have to give her actual cash, additional money. According to Rav Meir, just giving her back the gold earrings is enough. What are you giving her? It's her gold. What's the answer? The answer is that she owes you money for the labor, and you're being meichel on that. So Rav Meir feels that's good, the Rabbanan feels it's not good. Why does she owe you money? V'savri, the Gemara assumes, the kuli alma yeshna l'schiris mitchil v'atzayv. There's two ways to look at how when a person gives you a product like a craftsman, is it that every second that they're working, you owe them another dollar, and then you only have to pay at the very end? Or perhaps no, you only owe them a lump sum at the end. If you assume that they owe you throughout, that means that by the time you give them the product, they return the product to you, you owe them a lot of money from the past, and it's like a loan. It's like debt, and they're being meichel the debt. Rav Meir feels that's good. The Rabbanan feel it's not good. That must be the machlokes. The Gemara says, "Loi, really, everyone holds that being meichel the debt is not enough." The machlokes is, how do you understand a craftsman's wages? Go to the next page. Mar savar enol schiris el b'soif, or mar savar yeshnol schiris mitchila b'ad soif. So 1 second.
Recording stopped.
Everyone agrees that being meichel a debt is not enough. The Rabbanan feel, therefore you have to give her extra money. Why? Because they hold that as a craftsman works, you accrue a debt that you owe that person. Therefore, when they give you the gold, they're giving you gold and a debt. Being Baichel, that's not enough. Rav Meir feels, and this I have a hard time understanding the alumnus exactly, Rav Meir feels that it's not a debt that's accrued throughout. It's at the end there's a lump sum that you owe them, which is also like a debt, but they feel that being moichel on that is not you're not giving them like moichel l'chayv. You're giving them an item with a service that's on top of it. I have a hard time. I'll read you the way the art scroll describes it. Rav Meir's view, when the craftsman gives the finished jewelry to the woman, he is not betrothing her by forgiving a debt, because no debt yet exists. Rather, he is betrothing her through the benefit he gives her. He is allowing her to keep the service he performed for the sake of Kiddushin. This is hard to understand. Okay, I'm not 100% sure. But the point is, everyone agrees that being Meichel Chayv is not enough. Or Iba is another possibility. Everyone agrees that really it's a slow debt. Everyone agrees being Meichel Chayv is not enough. Machlokes is whether we agree to this concept, a concept called uman koine b'shvach, meaning there's a possibility that when a person works on something, he actually acquires this new product and he is selling it back to you. That when an uman takes gold and turns it into earrings, that's his earrings that he is selling back to you. Therefore, if it's his earrings he's selling back to you, he's giving you earrings. If you hold ein uman koine b'shvach kli, that means that he's not giving you anything new. You owe him money. It's a very interesting possibility. Uman koine b'shvach kli, which means that it's actually his earrings now that he's selling back to you, as opposed to him giving your earrings with a debt. Okay. Another possibility. Everyone agrees that no, that really he's not acquiring anything new. And really there's a debt here. And being Meichel debt is not enough. So 1 second. So he gives you back the gold earrings with a debt of $100, let's say. And then he's Meichel that. That's no good. So what's the form of Kiddushin? He added a little bit of himself. He added an extra, he added his own ribbon on top of the thing. Meaning you asked for earrings, and he added a little stud. So you owe him $1,000, and he's Meichel that no good. But he added a little stud. He's Mekadeshi with that little stud that he added. What's the machlokes about? The machlokes is, when you give a woman multiple items for the Kiddushin, some good, some not good, does she focus on what's good, or does she overall go with the majority? Meaning over here, you're giving her two things for the Kiddushin. You're giving her a mechilas chayv of $1,000, which is no good. You're also giving her that little extra stud. If you say that she focuses on what works, then it's a good Kiddushin. She focuses on the stud. If you say that she just thinks about the majority, well, the majority is mekadesh b'milva, which is enu kadeshes. That's the machlokes. Mar savar milva pruta daita pruta, mar savar daita milva. That's the machlokes. Plug the Tani Tanoi, and this is really following machlokes Tanoim. The Tani, as the Brisa says, b'scharsha sisi imach. If a craftsman says to a woman, mekadesh me with the work that I already did for you, meaning that you owe me money, and I'll be meichel that. So enu kadesh is no good. B'scharsha esa imach. But if you give her right away when you return the item, you say b'scharsha esa imach, which is the schar that I will do for you, then it does work. Why? Because he holds yeshna ein l'schiris ela b'soif, so it's a good form of Kiddushin. Rav Nasan on b'schar she'asimach ein mekadeshes. Chol shekein shechar she'isimach. Rav Nasan feels no. Yeshna l'schiris metchila b'soif. Meaning, the first opinion holds ein l'schiris ela b'soif, which is what I told you that Lumdis before that I had a hard time understanding, that it's not that there's a debt accrued. It's that when you give her the item, you're giving her that item, and now she owes you money. So therefore, if you say she'esa imach, meaning esa imach and asisi imach, according to the first opinion, is the following difference. If when you return the item to her, you say mekadesh me right now, that works. If you return the item and then a week later you say, oh hey, a week ago I made that for you, mekadesh me, then it's no good because it's too late. Then it just becomes a debt. Meaning if you ein l'schiris el b'soif, it's not a debt right away, but it will become a debt over time. This opinion feels yeshna l'schiris metchila b'soif, which means every single time that you return an item, a craftsman return an item, it's just a debt, and mekadesh milva ein mekudeshes. Rav Yehuda Nasi Omer be'emes amru be'emes chasha sisi be'emes chasha asimach in mekudeshes. Rav Yehuda says neither works. But if in addition to being Meichel L'chayv, you give a little bit of a stud, you add something on your own, then it works. What's the machlekes? Bein Tana Kamel Rav Nasan Kabenayim Schiris. The machlekes in Tana Kamel Rav Nasan is Yeshin L'Schiris Metchil Vat Seifa Ein L'Schiris El B'Seif. Bein Rav Nasan Rav Yehuda Ikabenayim Milva Pruta Marsav Milva Pruta Daita Milva Marsav Milva Daita Pruta. The machlekes of that one is Rav Yehuda adds that if you're Meichel L'chayv and you add a stud, she goes with the stud. The other opinions say no, she'll go with the being Meichel L'chayv, and therefore that's that same shayla. Okay, just to finish up the daf, the Mishnah says, "Hiskachli b'koyzeh shel yain." You hand a woman a cup of wine, and you say, "Mekadesh me with a cup of wine." But nimtza shel dvash, and then you realize, you look inside, it's honey, it's not wine, or shel dvash, but nimtza shel yain. That's a downgrade because wine is more valuable than honey. But let's say you say it's honey, it turns out it's wine. Dina shel kesef, you give her a thing of silver, and you say mekadesh shel silver, and nimtza shel zav, it's really gold, so it went up, or shazav. Or you say it's gold, and it's kesef, and it's really silver. I'm nashashi ashir, and you say on Kiddushin I'm rich, but you turn out to be poor. Ani, poor, but nimsa ashir, rich. And Mekudeshes, all of these like a mekach is no good. Rav Shimon says, Im hitel l'shvach Mekudeshes. Rav Shimon says, well, it depends. If your mistake downgraded, meaning you told her it's gold and it's actually silver, then I understand it's no good. She thought it was gold, but it's now silver. But if you say silver, and she's cool with silver, then Kal V'chomer should be cool with gold. So of course it works. Tana Rabbanan. The Brisa teaches, a man hands a woman a cup and he says, Mekadesh with the kais. The question is, do you go by the value of the cup itself, or what's inside, or both, or neither? So one Brisa says, you combined the material of the cup with the beverage inside, and if between both of them it's a pruta, good, if not, not. Another Brisa says, another Brisa says you only go with the cup, not the liquid inside. And some say just the liquid inside and not the cup. So what's the machlekes about? Like kasha. Habamaya. If it's water, water is not chashiv, so then you go by just the cup. Habachamra. If it's wine, when you gave someone a cup of wine, generally you expected the cup back. So then you go by just the liquid inside. Habitzaira and brine. So brine, you combine the liquid and the cup because you expect them to keep the cup, but it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive. So therefore, you go with both the cup and the wine and the brine itself. So then Rav Shimon said, if the mistake was upwards, meaning Rav Shimon seems to say that if you told someone silver and then it's gold, it works because if she's cool with silver, Kavachem should be cool with gold. The problem with that shita is, when it comes to business, there's a concept called mekach tois. If I tell someone it's gold and it's silver, it doesn't work. And if I tell someone it's silver and gold, it also doesn't work. Why? Because some people like gold, some people like silver. You can't just assume that people go with the most valuable thing. So how is this not a mekach tois? The Gemara says, Leslie Rav Shimon, doesn't Rav Shimon have the following Mishnah in mind? The Mishnah says in Baba Basar, Yayin nimtza chaymitz. I sell you wine and it turns out to be vinegar. Or chaymitz v'nimtza yayin. I sell you vinegar, it turns out to be wine. That's more valuable. But what's the halacha? If I went to the store for vinegar, I want vinegar. This is no good. Shnei michayim lachsebem. It's the mekach tois. Alma, what do you see? Some people like vinegar, some people like wine. I don't know. You have to. If what you said is what you said, you gotta deliver on it. Hachanami soto over here. Maybe she likes silver more than she likes gold. So how is this a good Kiddushin? So Amar Rav Simi Barashi Eshkechi Labayit Yasiv Kasav Lebrei. I saw Rabbi was explaining to his son. He said as follows: in the case of the Mishnah that Rav Shimon feels it's a good Kiddushin is the following case. Sha'amar l'shluchai haveni dina shel zev. Zav. The case is a guy says to his shliach, lend me a silver dinar. V'leicha kadesh isha ploinus. So you tell a shliach, lend me some silver, I'll go mekadesh and isha. And meaning I tell a guy, do me a favor, go to your house, take some silver and mekadesh and isha with him. He then goes to his house, instead of taking silver, he takes gold. That's the machlokes. Mar Savar, the Tanakama feels kaveda. I said silver. This is not silver. No good. You're not my shliach anymore. Mar Savar, Rav Shimon says no. Mar Malkum will like when he said silver, he was sort of giving an option, but he'd definitely be cool with gold. That's the machlokes. It's the cases where mekadesh, the husband is mekadesh through a shliach, and the shliach deviated, but he went up. The problem is ihachi. Then the lashon, the Mishnah doesn't apply. The Mishnah says hiskadshili. Become mekadesh to me, which implies there's no shliach, and implies the guy is talking to the girl. Or iskad shi loim by it should say be mekadesh to him because the shliach is talking. Hitel l'shvach The Brisa says if he misled her, it should hit Tio l'shvach. If they misled her, because it's talking about a shliach, nimsa. And what does it mean, nimsa? Nimsa sounds like, the mistake was found out later. What do you mean? The mistake was known. I told the shliach one thing, and he did it from the beginning. He did differently. So it's not like a mistake happened later. It's he was aware of the mistake the whole time. Meikar nami dezav have. Elam Rav will end with this. Aricha shebachabura targamina. The lion of the group explained it. Umani Rachi Baravin. And who is the lion of the group? Rachi Baravin. He explained as follows. Hachamay eskin, and the case is kigon she'amru l'shluchai. The case is not where a man is mekadosh shluch. It's a woman tells a shlich to mekabel kedushin, and she says, "Say mekabel kedushin plani, go and mekabel kedushin me from so and so." Because he said he's going to give me silver, so go mekabel silver from the guy. The shliach goes, and instead of silver, the guy gives gold. He gives gold. Marsa, but the Tanakama feels kveida. She appointed him as a shliach to mekabel silver, not gold. Umar Sava, and Rav Shimon says, no, Maramakam. She was just saying, do me a favor, go makabel the Kiddushin. She thinks it's going to be silver. If it's gold, it's gold. She doesn't really care. And what does it mean? Nimsa, what does it mean that it was found to be gold? What do you mean? Doesn't the guy notice when the second he gets it? The Katsar Bavlisa, the cases where the gold is wrapped up. So you tell someone, just do me a favor, go get the Kiddushin from that guy. The shliach of the woman goes, makabel it, brings it back to the woman, and opens it up, and it's taka gold and not silver. That's the case in the Mishnah. The machlokes is whether it's a good shlichus. I will stop here.